Desolation Canyon in Death Valley National Park is a fun, kid-friendly hike. We enjoyed the colorful rocks, climbing up dry waterfalls, and trying to figure out where Star Wars was filmed. The Desolation Canyon Trail takes you through a wash to a viewpoint above the famous Artist's Palette. The trail begins from an unpaved road just south of the much busier Golden Canyon on Highway 190. The hike is 3.6 miles round trip, and one of the best parts for kids is that the trail continues at the same gradual slope for nearly the entire hike. This trail is best hiked in the fall, winter, or spring since it is in Death Valley, and when we visited in March of 2021, it was cool enough in the morning to start the day off with jackets. The first part of the hike is a little less interesting as it's more open, and the kids were having a hard time continuing to go on. But we told them that this is where parts of Star Wars were filmed, and that helped get them to keep moving. Bringing along the Baby Yoda stuffed animal made it a little more fun as we got to pretend that we were visiting Tatooine. In case you're wondering what Star Wars scenes were filmed here, the Tusken Raiders scenes from A New Hope were filmed in Desolation Canyon, and they actually brought an elephant as a stand-in. As you continue up the trail, the canyon gets narrower and more interesting. Here we motivated our girls to keep going by having them race to the shady spot, and once they got there, the narrowing canyon ignited their sense of adventure.
Ooh, let's go to the shade and take a break in the shade. Let's go to that big shady spot. Who's gonna get to the shade first? Oh, there's so much sand in this part. These are alluvial fans, I guess. Whoa, we gotta climb over this hill. That's so cool.
After going around this bend, the adventure truly began. We started to see more colorful rocks, and we started coming up on the places where you have to rock climb over dry waterfalls.
What kind of mineral is this over here next to us?
Mica.
Mica, that's why it's green. Oh, there's more up there. Look at me not helping and just filming you guys. Look at these rock climbing girls. Here, you can come over to me. Come over to me.
Wait, no, you got it. Ooh, got it. You okay?
That was awesome.
Okay, this is like challenge.
As I mentioned earlier, this hike is mostly one continuous, gentle slope, with the major exception of these dry waterfalls that you have to climb up. These dry falls were definitely one of the highlights of our entire trip to Death Valley, and climbing over them made this one of the favorite hikes that we've ever been on as a family. One of the fun things is that even with our preschooler, we were able to make this something that she could accomplish by giving her the amount of help she needed. And no, she can't climb quite this fast. This footage is sped up a little bit.
The GoPro filming for some reason. Mica and manganese.
The colors in the rocks are caused by different minerals being present. Having these dry falls come up throughout the hike made this a really great hike for parents, because we didn't have to deal with kids complaining about being bored. There were new challenges to be fun and exciting the whole time. The larger dry fall that you saw us climbing earlier was about 8 feet tall, and this one is about 6 feet tall. We were glad to be wearing long pants, so that's another reason to do this hike in a time of year where it's not too hot, as you're not getting your legs all scratched up in your shorts. Coming up to dry falls throughout the hike was a little bit like having little puzzles to solve, and it was fun to see our kids figure out the best path through each one. The National Park Service website points out that it's easier to climb up these dry falls than it is to climb down them, so keep that in mind as you're heading up. One thing I learned partway through the hike is that since you have to do so much climbing, the grown-ups have to carry all the things, and do make sure that you bring some water.
The strap came off and Grogu's getting lost.
After the dry fall section, things opened up, the rocks got more colorful, and a nice cool breeze came, blowing our hats off, but also cooling us down. Really nice thing to experience in Death Valley. Here's a small arch that we found on the side of the trail. We always enjoy finding features of trails that are like natural playgrounds, keep things entertaining. We were nearing the end of our uphill part of our hike, and just before we got to the top, we saw some fighter jets training in the sky above. This last leg of the hike is the only part that is a steeper grade. I really enjoyed having a hike that was the same grade for the entire time. As you get to the top, there's a canyon on your left and Artist Palette on your right.
I'm on top of the world! I am on top of the world!
I don't know that the GoPro was able to pick up any of the echo the girls were trying to get, but the view up here is amazing. You can see all the beautiful colors of Artist Palette that we liked to pretend were rainbow sherbet and chocolate ice cream.
Can you make a crow sound?
It's a little bit easier to see the colors closer to sunrise or sunset. We visited Artist Drive in the evening, and that's a better video to see what these colors look like when they're a little more saturated. And with that, it was time to start heading back down to the car. This first part of the downhill is probably the hardest part of going down, as it's the steepest and quite sandy.
This is green rock.
Why is it green?
And this green stuff that we're seeing is mica.
The lighting going downhill made it a little bit easier to see all the colors, so it was fun to pretend that we were walking through a giant ice cream land full of rainbow sherbet. Getting back to this section on the way down reminded me of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade.
How are you gonna cross?
According to All Trails, the elevation gain on this hike is 771 feet, so our kids were a little bit tired at the end, but not too bad. In the 2.5 hours that we were on the trail, we only crossed paths with 4 other people. It was March of 2021, so the pandemic was going, but it was still quite a bit less busy than other places we visited. It was a nice hike in the morning, and that still gave us plenty of time to do smaller activities in the afternoon, and then enjoy our campsite in the evening. At the time we hiked it, this was the favorite hike we'd ever done as a family, and we all would recommend that you check out Desolation Canyon next time you're in Death Valley National Park.